Good morning, all of you. So today we begin with day 2 of house property, and there are some doubts in residential status as you are saying, and even we have to check the answer for the residential status last question of the past exam. So that we will take it at the end. We will close 15 minutes earlier the house property, and then we will take that. Okay? Right? Yeah, whatever are your doubts of residential status, you can ask over there. Okay, now tell me, yesterday we have started with income from house property and some basics, some formats I made you write purposely in the notebook so that you learn it. Is that everything clear? Shall we do a brief revision in 10 minutes and then we will do something advanced in that? There are twists and turns now in interest on loan, in co-ownership, if one same property is partitioned and all, then how to do it, right? So that we are going to check up. But before that, the format should be absolutely clear. Okay. 1 second. Huh?
Ma'am, your screen is lazy.
Now is it clear? Chalo. Okay. So yesterday we have started with actually the second as per act, but our first head of income, that was income from house property. Income from house property says knock knock. Chargeability section is section. Have you learnt it? Section 22, right? It says that there should be owner tenant relationship and there should be property. I've discussed all the cases that property or garage or outhouse attached to property, swimming pool, all that comes under property. When I say rental income of property is taxable under this head, it could be commercial property, it could be residential property. In case if you have missed the first class, don't think कि हाँ मैम तो पूरा जिस्ट बताते हैं और कंटिन्यूशन में समझ में आ जाएगा. Yesterday in depth we have checked many things with the case laws example I have given you. So I cannot repeat the whole 2.5 hours class. Make sure you watch it, complete it, and write the notes. Now, there is owner, there is tenant, there's property. It could be residential property, it could be commercial property, and all. Right? So rental income is taxable here. Now, all the type of the property income is divided into 3 ways. First is self-occupied property. That's the property where I stay, self-occupied. I cannot pay rent to myself. So rental income of self-occupied property is nil. Self-occupied property instead of SOP, it could be unoccupied property. Now, what is unoccupied property? I have only one house in Hyderabad. I am owner. I am occupying it, but because of my son's education or other reason, I have been staying in Chennai, Bangalore, kahin pe bhi. ठीक है? So this house is unoccupied. Still, it will be treated as self-occupied. How many houses you can take it as self-occupied? Yes.
Maximum 2.
Maximum 2. So if someone is having more than 2 houses as self-occupied, the third house will be treated as what?
Deemed let out property.
Deemed let out property, DLOP, and notional income. Ma'am, 3 houses I have self-occupied. I sometimes stay in my Goa house, sometimes Lonavala house, sometimes Hyderabad house. Meri mercy. So any 2 you can take it as self-occupied. Third one will be treated as deemed let out, and even though there's no actual rental income, on notional income you have to pay tax. Is it clear to all of you, right? And then there is also a third type of property, SOP, DLOP, and LOP. LOP is the property which is actually let out, given out on rent, right? Now when I say compute the income, you have to follow the formula, not formula, format, to compute the house property, which is very easy. Yesterday we studied it around, say one problem I did for 40 minutes. Same problem now we can do it in 10 minutes because now we have learned the format. Whenever they say compute income from house property, it starts with GAV. GAV is the gross annual value, right? So gross annual value is, ma'am, actual rent. Whatever rent I have received is GAV. No, actual rent may be less, may be more. So you have to compare it with some steps method. Excuse me. What are those steps method? I will share the screen today, and from that we will do the revision. है ना? कल हमने combined problem भी किए थे, तो let me take up the steps. The first step for the GAV is this: fair rent or municipal value, whichever is higher. Fair rent is, okay, same kind of property at arm's length nearby to me. What rental income is coming? So fair rent or municipal value, whichever is higher. That's step one answer. Or standard rent, which is available as per the Rent Control Act, whichever is lower. So fair rent, or you can write beside this like this, and you can write like this in exam also. Fair rent or municipal value, whichever is higher. Step one. Or standard rent, whichever is lower. Step two. Or actual rent, whichever is higher. So high, low, high. This you have to learn, and it's pretty easy. Fair rent or municipal value, whichever is higher. That or standard rent, whichever is lower. That or actual rent, whichever is higher, right? Whatever is your step 3 answer, you get GAV, gross annual value. Municipal tax are allowed to be deducted if they are paid by the owner. If they are paid by tenants, you cannot deduct it. If they are due but not paid. These are beautiful aspects. I can't say how much they are asking all this in MCQ, and it's going to be super scoring. Once you deduct municipal tax, what you get is called as annual value. 30% of the annual value is allowed as standard deduction. Say government is saying, oh, you are receiving 100 rupees as rent. We assume 30 rupees is your expenditure. 70 rupees is your income. So in 30% expenditure, repairs, renovation, your ground rent, watchman, water, all expenditure is allowed. Irrespective of actual expenditure, can be more also, less also. And then interest on loan is allowed, including pre-construction interest, which I will teach you tomorrow. And then you get income from house property. Okay. Interest on loan. Now, if it is a self-occupied property, the GAV is nil. Don't do that fair rent, municipal value, high, low, high, because you know it so well. Please don't do that. If it is a self-occupied property, the GAV or the annual value will always be nil. You can't pay rent to yourself. Municipal taxes are not allowed in case of self-occupied property. NAV is nil. 30% standard deduction nil. Interest on loan. Whenever you take housing loan, it is for 10-12 years and you have to pay the installments. In every EMI, there's principal and interest. So whatever interest you are paying on housing loan, taken from proper bank, financial corporations, institutes, or housing finance companies and all, is allowed up to 2 lakh. I want all of you to go to your first page जहाँ पे आपने format बनाया है, first या second page जहाँ भी ये है, and go and write over there interest on loan 2 lakhs. It is allowed for 2 properties, 2 SOPs. For 2 SOPs, those self-occupied property. Just 2 seconds. Huh? For 2 self-occupied property, the interest allowed is up to 2 lakh. So one thing, dear students, are you digesting in this revision? Self-occupied property, always there's going to be loss. Silly mistake नहीं करना है एग्जाम में. Self-occupied property कहीं लिखा भी होगा, मैंने नहीं लिखा है तो आप लिख दो ना. I want all of you to write here somewhere, wherever space is there. My alignment is little disturbed today because yesterday some corrections I have made. Then again, it's not realigned. So one page here and there, your material. So self-occupied property will always show loss. Ma'am, why will it always show loss? GAV is nil, municipal tax, NAV is nil, and all. So self-occupied property will always show loss. Okay? Right. Now, how the interest on loan is allowed. So let us take it. Really sorry, please wait one more. Thank you so much for waiting. Chalo, ab dekho. Municipal tax is allowed on actual payment basis. Interest on loan is allowed on due basis. Suppose if interest is due but not paid, still it is allowed. Okay, right. Now, let out or deemed let out property, full interest is allowed. Whatever interest it may be, 4 lakh, 5 lakh, 8 lakh, interest for the year fully it is allowed without any upper limit. Self-occupied property, maximum allowed is 2 lakh. If the loan is taken after 1499 for purchase or construction and the construction is completed within 5 years. Now, if the loan is taken before 1499 or even if the loan is taken today but for repairs and renovation, then how much maximum interest is allowed? 30,000. Students are stuck up in this. This is only for SOP. TLOP and LOP, full interest and all is allowed. Okay? So now yesterday I purposely didn't read the extra parts of the interest. Now tell me, is the whole format clear until now? This only we studied for 2 hours yesterday, and yesterday we have solved some combination problem. That if there are 3 self-occupied property, can we take any 2 as self-occupied depending on the one which is showing lowest income?
Yes, sir.
Chalo. Now I'm diving into little in-depth part of the interest. बहुत easy है वो भी. And whatever I'm teaching, I'm working out problem. Nothing is theory, ma'am. Then why you have given so much of theory? ये theory. अभी तो आगे और interest on loan के नीचे ये सब theory. These are all application based questions. Once they are clear, you will do very well in solving question answers. आ जाओ. Actual amount of interest due for the year is allowed in LOP and DLOP. In case of self-occupied, 2 lakh is allowed if the loan is taken for construction or purchase after 1499 and 5 years may the construction should be over. Okay, same thing. And you know, the loan should be certified. I told you, you talk with your family members, and if anyone has taken loan, do check up the EMI chart. Every year bank gives you a table. Okay, this year you have paid 12 EMIs in this. This is the principal, this is the interest. So whatever is interest in the housing loan you have paid for 12 months, that's allowed to be deducted. Only in house property. Someone was asking me yesterday, can we deduct this interest in other heads? No, beta. Only in house property. Now, housing loan interest is 30,000 if the loan is taken for repairs renovation. Interest on loan payable outside India is allowed only if TDS is deducted. Yeah. Suppose I have taken loan from an NRI. Then I have to pay him interest outside India. When I am paying interest to an NRI, I have to say, oh, I have paid you interest, non-resident, you have generated income in India. I should deduct some tax and pay to government. Ma'am, at what rate and all that we will study in the TDS chapter. But just remember, I have taken housing loan from some foreign bank or foreign person and I have paid him interest. and I didn't deduct the TDS, that interest will not be allowed. Okay? This is an extra point I have written, but when we do the TDS, it will be very clear. Now, this is a point which is covered in so many questions. Interest on second loan taken to repay the first loan is allowed. Suppose, for example, I have taken, these are all my own created example to make it super clear. So focus करके understand करो इसको. First loan is taken from SBI. Okay? How much? 50 lakhs. Second loan is taken from IDBI to repay the first loan. I took first loan. I'll explain it in the notebook better and it will be like more clear. 2 minutes. Yeah. I have taken 50 lakhs housing loan from SBI at the rate of 8%. And I was paying interest. This interest was allowed. After 2-3 years, I approached IDBI bank. There also I have my account, my share trading account, my PPF account. And IDBI bank said, oh, we will finance you interest housing loan at 6%. And see, housing loan is for 10 years, 12 years, 15 years. So I'll say, okay, I will shift my housing loan to IDBI. Very practical example. IDBI is now giving me 50 lakh rupees at 6%. That 50 lakhs I'll repay to SBI and SBI bye-bye. Now I'm paying interest to IDBI at 6%. What's the benefit for me doing like this? I'll save 2% interest. Ma'am, 2% से क्या फर्क पड़ जाएगा? These are 50 lakhs. तो मैंने example दिया है. Housing loan are 1 crore, 2 crore, 3 crore, 5 crore. So 2% is also a huge amount. So my first loan was on SBI. Now I took second loan and repaid my first loan. And now second loan interest I am paying. Will this interest on loan be allowed or disallowed? Tell me. Will it be allowed or disallowed? Tell me. Allowed. Because now second loan has become the housing loan and it has stepped into the first loan. Very well, it is allowed. Clear?
Yes,
I have, yeah, I know it's very clear now because I have, when I will not explain like this and I'll directly work out the problem. Ma'am, ye second loan has taken first loan place and all, not clear. Now you are clear with the concept, you apply it and solve the next question, it will be very clear to you. So one thing we have understood from our material is now interest on second loan taken from IDBI to repay the first loan. Is the second loan interest allowed? Yes, because it has stepped into the shoes of the first loan now. Yeah, right. Interest paid on money borrowed to repay loan EMI is not allowed. See, you have taken housing loan of 50 lakhs. Your EMI is 1 lakh per month. Now to pay 1 lakh also you have taken loan. And uska interest hai 1000. This 1000 is not interest on housing loan. This 1000 is interest on interest, I call it. My EMI or my loan repayment is 1 lakh. To repay that 1 lakh, I took a loan from my friend. Are 1 lakh rupees dena hai, EMI bharna hai. And to my friend, I'm paying 10,000 interest. I can't claim it as interest on loan. This is not interest on housing loan. This is interest on interest, not allowed. So interest paid on the money borrowed to repay the loan is not allowed. Is this point clear to you, F point?
Yes, ma'am.
Everyone? Yes? Right. Some of you are attending online. If you have a doubt, you can unmute or put it in the chat box. Assuming 100% you will try to attend this face to face the way you are doing. Very emergency, then only please take up that benefit. I mean say, पता नहीं समझ में आ रहा है, इससे ज्यादा नहीं आता ना दीप्ति मैम को डांटना. आ जाओ. Brokerage and processing fees, very common, it's not allowed. Ma'am, I took the housing loan from IDBI. I had to do mortgage, I had to pay processing fees. That's my genuine expenditure. Please allow. नहीं मिलता. I told you yesterday, घर में बोल के रखना, कोई नींद में से भी उठाए. How many expenditures are allowed in house property? It should be on your tips. Like this, I'll make you learn for salary business head. House property, how many expenditures are allowed? Can anyone say in the class? ऐसे नंबर चाहिए मेरे को. How many expenditures are allowed in house property? See, now it's the time. कल का क्लास बहुत ऐसे बेबी लेवल पे था, आज नहीं. आज बहुत सारे प्रॉब्लम करेंगे. So the mind should do now little outer study. In depth कल कर लिया. Today I am asking you what are the total expenditure allowed in house property. Only three, ma'am. Municipal tax on payment basis. Standard deduction. 30% on NAV and interest on loan. Pre-construction is a part of interest on loan, over and out. Why I'm being so specific in saying this? Whenever Dipti ma'am says, आपकी और मेरी एक मिनट एक एनर्जी लेवल बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट है, तो कुछ भी एक्स्ट्रा नहीं बोलना है. What I'm saying, and if I'm repeating twice, thrice, trust me, it has got some meaning. Students keep on deducting. Ma'am, it was given in the problem, interest on interest, ground rent, watchman salary, lift. Sab ho gaya na? Nothing is allowed. Only three expenditures are allowed in house property. Municipal tax, payment basis, 30% standard deduction, NAV, interest on loan, due basis, damn. Is this way linking clear to all of you? ऐसे लेफ्ट राइट ऊपर नीचे वो रूबिक खेलते हैं ना, ऐसे पूरा घुमा के देख लेना. Come back again. So brokerage and all is not allowed. 2,30,000 interest on loan is allowed for two self-occupied property, including current year's interest, pre-construction interest. सब मिला के for two properties. Ma'am, I have two self-occupied property. Why don't you allow 2 lakh for each? Now you are trying to mend the law. You are trying to mend the law, which is not allowed. So 2,30,000 is the limit for both properties. Yeah, right. Okay. Interest on loan upper limit for each co-owner is also 2 lakh. So many times the property is co-owned by two people. Okay, there's a property of 2 crore. I will pay 1.5 crore and I will ask Shreya, you also pay 1 crore. 2.5 crore property both of us have purchased. And both are using it as self-occupied. One floor Shreya is using, one floor I am using. Can we take this as self-occupied for each one? Yeah. Then can we say, ma'am, dono ke liye self-occupied and it's a common property. So shall I take interest in self-occupied 1 lakh or 2 lakh? 2 lakh each. I can take 2 lakh from my rental income. Shreya can take from hers. अब भी जो कर रही हूँ सबको अप्लाई करके क्वेश्चन करेंगे. This table is very interesting, very important, but I'll do it later purposely. बस यहाँ तक आके रुक जाओ. And now let us do some problems. Problem number 1 and 2 I did. Third one. Yeah, I want to discuss the homework problems. Have you done the homeworks, all of you?
Yes, ma'am.
Third problem सबने खुद से किया, बिना देखे किया?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, great. Because I hope now you have understood. Third problem also, the juggling was in GAV. And if the GAV is not right, the whole problem goes wrong. Can I just skip? आप सबको समझ में आ गया है? किसी को कोई bit में doubt है? There are 5 bits in the third problem. A, B, C, D, E. Every time you had to decide. This was combination problem we have worked out. Treat either as all the three as self-occupied or DLOP. Chalo. Now some very small but interesting problems in notebook. There you check the answers. बिना देखे हम इसको notebook में solve करेंगे. I am into problem number 7 now. Raja completed construction of the house in May 24 and the house property was self-occupied during, yes.
In the third question, B bit he has a doubt. तो जाके बोलो।
अरे तो जब होमवर्क के डाउट पूछ रही हूँ पूछो ना, सब लोग पूछो, कोई बात नहीं, पूछो, चलो फिर कंटिन्यू करेंगे। से
बी में मैम वो टेनेंट वेकेट कर दिया था जनवरी में मैम, तो फिर एक्चुअल रेंट लेना है जेवी या फिर म्युनिसिपल वैल्यू? नहीं, वो स्टैंडर्ड रेंट।
ओ बी बिट में एक्चुअली अनरियलाइज्ड रेंट इज आल्सो देयर ना। Unrealized rent is that rent which is due but you have not received. It's not कि आप vacant करके चले गए, आप pay नहीं कर रहे हो, है ना? So here the municipal value is 250, fair rent is 2 lakhs, and I'll have to read the question up before I answer you, beta. 2 minutes. Standard rent is 210. Tenant vacated the property in January and unrealized rent is 20,000. Municipal tax is 8%. Interest on loan is 65. Actual rent received is 10,000. So 10,000 into how many months you will receive? 10 months, 1 lakh. So fair rent or municipal value, whichever is higher. So for first bit answer is 2.5 lakh. That or standard rent 210, whichever is lower. Second answer. That or actual rent, whichever is higher. So actual rent is only 1 lakh. Yeah. And tenant vacated the property. Okay. So now, obviously the fair rent and municipal value are higher only than the actual rent. Actual rent is not low due to vacancy. Yeah. 10 months rent is 1 lakh and 12 months का अगर हम रेंट ले लेते तो 120 आता, तभी भी. So you have to take whichever is higher, step 2 or 1 lakh. So you have to take GAV as 2,10,000. कौन सा था, कौन सा बिट था ये?
ये B bit था। Ma'am, E bit we are taking half area for all municipal value, fair rent, standard rent, but we are taking actual rent on full area, right?
Yeah, it's a full. Where did they say half area and full area?
Wait, E bit.
B bit or E bit?
E.
चलो बी वाला तो क्लियर है ना, एक बार उसको अब देखा है तो कंक्लूड कर लेते हैं कि your GAV will be 210 and in 210 you have to minus unrealized rent. Unrealized rent is that rent which is due and not received, so you have to minus it from the GAV. So 210 में से 20 निकल गए तो this is a printing mistake. It should be 190. Your GAV will be 190. Thank you so much that you asked. पता नहीं है कैसे मिस आउट हो गया, इतने बार तो कर लिया हमने. या बट आंसर्स में कभी नहीं देती थी. आई थॉट ओके लेते हैं. It should be 190 answer. Now you want me to discuss EBIT. I will do that. Chalo. Municipal value of the full property is 110. Fair rent, standard rent diya hai. And the rent is 10,000 per month for half of the area. Okay. Half of the property is only given for rent. Then fair rent, municipal value, standard rent also you have to take for half because it is for full property. Is your doubt clear now? One second. I don't remember all yours name. Who is asking this doubt? और पूछो कि अब clear है या नहीं. ठीक है. तो अभी समझ में आया देखो. And today we are doing more of this. So no problem. This is the whole property. The whole property's municipal value, fair rent, standard rent is given. But only half the property, say ground floor and first. So only ground floor is let out. So fair rent, municipal value all also you have to take for half of the property because they have given the municipal value for full property. अभी आगे problem आएंगे 12th and 13th problem wherein half of the property is given on rent. They'll give you the municipal value and everything also for half of the property. तब फिर no problem. अच्छा, I want to talk something now. Not much good in maths. क्या बोलते हैं? You know, how do you measure the floor area, plinth size and all something in maths, right? So in exam, they can give you that the whole building was 800 plinth and only 200 plinth area was given on rent. So 1/4. Now come back. I'm checking your doubts still if you have. एक बार पहले explanation सुन लो मेरे साथ. So, municipal value for the full property they have given fair rent, whichever is higher. So 110, right? So 110 ka adha, that is 55,000 is my first answer. Your doubt was, ma'am, why have you taken half? Because this is for full property and area let out is half.
Ma'am,
Yeah.
Why are we making actual rent for the whole thing? Why are we not dividing it by 2? Actual rent.
Because rent 10,000 is for half the area, clearly given. They didn't say rent is for the whole property. Rent is for the half property. And this was full. So हमने full को we got it as half. So that you can compare for half area, fair rent, municipal value, whichever is higher. That or standard rent, whichever is lower. That or actual rent, whichever is higher. GAV.
Understood, ma'am.
Now your doubt is clear, beta. ये देखो clear दिया है कि rent 10,000 is for half the area. If they would have given rent for full area, I would have definitely divided it by half. पता है हमको doubt क्यों आता है? Figures देख के. Ma'am, बाकी figures are so less and this is so high.
Yes.
And as a teacher, don't you think I'm always saying ki more than 2 decades when I teach, I literally can make out ki what doubts also you will ask. That's why so many times मैं ही खुद ही बोल देती हूँ अगर आपका doubt ये है इसका ये आंसर है तो I can easily make my book very easy. But in exam, this is a problem. If you have asked this example and if it is clear, take one thing as home. In tax paper, clearly they given instructions. Write your assumption wherever required. But don't make assumptions as your advantage, you know. Assumption को हथियार नहीं बनाना है अपना. Ma'am, मैंने तो assume किया that this was the 10,000 rent for full property. So I took half 5 and according to my assumption, my answer is right. If you say this, no, I will make you sit in the classroom and ask you to correct. Whole class, one class test paper you alone should correct. Don't take it otherwise. I'm not saying exactly pointing out anyone, but I'm just saying that students come to me and say, ma'am, I did it correct. This was my assumption. Is the paper corrector going to make 120 assumptions for 120 paper and do the correction? No. So assumption is good to make where things are not clear. So many times, recently in the salary chapter, they didn't say that DA is considered as a part of employment or not. So we had to assume and solve the problem. Not here. Here clearly they have said. So this, I want you to take it as an alert sign. All of you, don't write unnecessary assumptions and say, as per my assumption, my answer is correct. Hope your doubt is clear. हाँ. और क्या doubt है पूछो?
No, ma'am.
चलो. So now we can read the next problem I was reading and we can do that. है ना? Combination problems were very easy. Promise that you all are having homeworks in your classwork. You need to be 110% honest with yourself. I know that you are not being dishonest, but sometimes if you say, हाँ दीप्ति मैम homework किया और नहीं किया या टिक टिक करके किया, ठीक है दीप्ति मैम को आप उल्लू बना लो, इसको उल्लू बना लो, उसको कर लो. You cannot write any reason in your answer. And then when the result comes, fail is fail, pass is pass, है ना? चलो. Raja completed construction in 31st May 24. House property was self-occupied in June and July. 1 minute. 2024, and thereafter it was let out on 10,000 per month. Yeah. Now, the municipal value is 72,000. Okay. You are informed that following expenses have been incurred. Ma'am, they gave only municipal value. They didn't give the fair rent. They didn't give the standard rent. Skip. Chalo. Now, you are informed that municipal tax is 6,000. Repairs, ground rent, insurance, all this is given to confuse you. Don't consider it. Don't scratch it in the exam. I told you earlier also, you're not supposed to put a dot also on the question mark. ऐसा ना जाके dot भी नहीं लगाना है. चलो. Determine the taxable income. Purposely, I'm taking up this problem. Here, construction of the property was only completed on 31st May. Property was born only on 31st May. उसके पहले तो property under construction थी. So then, can we take fair rent, municipal value, standard rent, all for 10 months? Anyone is having any doubt? मैंने बोला था आज के क्लास में और कल में यही फर्क है. सेम ट्रैक वी आर वॉकिंग, बट वी आर ट्विस्टिंग लेफ्ट राइट लाइक अ रूबिक. तो टेल मी, माय क्वेश्चन टू यू ऑल इज, I'm going to take fair rent, municipal value, standard rent all for 10 months because the property is completed only in May 2024. Every problem is unique. I could make the question so easy. I can't tell you. मुझे बहुत बार लगता है इससे थोड़ा और easy करा दो, खुश होके बच्चे चले जाएंगे. बहुत अच्छा पढ़ा रहे दीप्ति मैम. थोड़े लोग भाग जाते हैं because we teach that genuinely कि हाँ, this is the variety they can ask. You will take time to digest, but you digest it because the construction is over in May. Property was not ready before May. Property is born in May. So leave the April and May. And can we take the municipal value, which is for 12 months, now for 10 months? Yeah, and solve the whole problem. So 7th problem we are doing in the notebook. And while doing also, if you get a doubt, you ask. Problem number 7. Chalo. Computation of income of Raja for the previous year 2024-25. I am starting with a note. You can write the note after the computation also. Okay, right. As construction of the property is completed as construction of the property is completed in इनकी जगह ऑन कर दो क्योंकि डेट ही दिया है स्पेसिफिक 31st May 2024. fair rent, comma municipal value, comma standard rent, comma actual rent will all be taken for 10 months. In the study material, only one problem is there with this concept. Only one problem. But if you understand, like, initially there is little fear when you sit in an adventurous ride. Then you enjoy. The thoda sa jo confusion is ko jane do, it will be clear. So I'm skipping in this problem fair rent, standard rent not given. Municipal value definitely they have given. How much it is? 72,000. I'll take it 10 by 12. Calculator. अरे कैलकुलेटर ही मेरा रह गया ऊपर. हाँ, आप बोल दो कितना आ रहा है 70,000 into 12, 60,000. Yeah, you all should calculate. And then the house property was self-occupied for June and July. Self-occupied.
No amount.
So we will take actual rent from August. Actual rent from August to March. That is 10,000 into 8. 80,000. 10,000 into 8, and that is 80,000. Rest all is clear. Now start with the problem. Yeah, particulars and amount we will write. Fair rent, step 1. Can we write the format together this time to learn it also? Fair rent or municipal value, whichever is higher. So fair rent or municipal value, it's 60,000. Step 2 is 60,000 or standard rent, whichever is lower. Standard rent nahi diya hai, so 60,000. Step 3 is step 2, 60,000 or actual rent, 80,000, whichever is higher. So 80,000. So my gross annual value is 80,000. This format we will do it 10 times today. Municipal tax allowed only if paid by owner. He has paid municipal tax 6,000. So NAV is 74,000. Standard deduction, even if no one says, we have to take 30% of the 74,000, that's 22,200. Please calculate. Interest on loan, nil. Yeah, please ask.
Ma'am, you said that municipal taxes will be only taken after the construction period, right?
Huh.
But you took it for 12 months now. 6,000 is for 12 months.
She's saying 6,000 tax.
Municipal tax, no. Listen, all of you. Municipal tax you have to take for 12 months. You are absolutely right. Logically, you are right. Ki, ma'am, when the construction is only over in May, why you are not taking municipal taxes also 10 by 12? Municipal tax if the property is self-occupied, let out, vacant, let out, under construction, construction. The year you start getting rental income, municipal taxes are fully allowed. Yeah, only time we need to make it proportionate is when it is paid by tenant. Please ask. It's a very nice doubt you have asked. Huh. But ma'am, when you are taking municipal tax for the whole year, why you are taking municipal value fair rent for the 10 months? Because if you take it for 12 months and compare it with the actual rent of 10 months, it will not give you the correct answer. And actual rent I took for 8 months because the property was self-occupied. Right? Clear to all of you? You are right. कि म्यूनिसिपल टैक्स को भी फिर ऐसे करना था ना 10/12, तो वो तो नहीं किया हमने. हाँ, so it is to be taken for the whole year. Now ask, और क्या डाउट है? सॉरी बेटा, नहीं सुनाई दिया. क्या बोले? हाँ, आंसर. आंसर आप लोग करो. मेरा कैलकुलेटर मुझे मंगवाना पड़ेगा. स्टडिंग इन द मॉर्निंग अपस्टेयर्स तो वहां रह गया है. 1 minute. I'm sharing the answer. You all check it and ask if you have any more doubts. I told you आज थोड़े उसी में bits discuss करेंगे. तो what new you have studied in this problem? If the construction of the property is completed in 30th of June, property was not born only. How can you take the fair and municipal value for 12 months when the property was ready only in June 24? then you have to take only for 9 months. But you're logically right, ma'am, then municipal taxes are also for 9 months. But even if the property's construction is completed in between, the practical aspect is you have to pay the municipal tax for whole year. Let me tell you, next to my house, we are making our own building. So there it was under construction, कुछ ही काम चल रहा था, pillars और slab डल रहे थे, कोई रह रहा है नहीं रह रहा है. Still you have to pay the municipal tax for 12 months. So municipal tax is allowed for 12 months. But when you are deciding the rental income, it would be very harsh to compare the rental income of 6, 8, 10 months with the fair and municipal value of 12 months. Because the property was not ready. That's the simple logic. Yeah. Any conflict in your mind, keep asking, keep asking. The more you ask, it will be clear. और एक दो और ऐसे ही प्रॉब्लम करते हैं. राजा किया, अब रानी की बारी है. Raja's problem is over. Yeah. Next one we are doing now. Ram. Okay. Ram owned a house property at Chennai. See, look at the length of the problem. They are so simple for 7 marks, but very in-depth and nice. Huh? Chalo. Ram owned house property at Chennai, which was occupied, and he transferred to Mumbai in June 24. Thereafter, he let out the property. So, June tak wo property kya tha? Self-occupied. After that, it was let out on a monthly rent of 3,000. The corporation tax of property was 6,000, of which 50% was paid by him in March 25. Okay. Interest on money borrowed for construction. This is easy problem. We can just check it. Did they give you fair rent and municipal value and all? Then I have given these steps for you to understand. You can skip in exam. If they don't give you the, see, here only one bit was also given, fair rent, standard rent, वो सब नहीं था, सिर्फ municipal value था. Then also we have worked out the step. But here nothing is given. Then directly can we take rent is 3,000 from July.
9 months.
Why you have not, 2 minutes, why you have not taken the rent of April, May and June? Because the property was self-occupied. I was staying there. Then I constructed next house. So I shifted over there from July. So this house I am getting 3,000 into 9 rental income. Municipal tax 6,000 is mine only. I have to pay 6,000. You can't do 6,000 into 9 by 12. That will be wrong. But only 50% is paid. So 50% I have taken NAV. NAV ka 30% is standard deduction, and interest on loan they have given 20,000. This was pretty simple question. हाँ बोलो. No, if you have a doubt, you can ask. No problem. Anyone of you. The next problem, without checking the answer, I want you all to do it on your own. Then I'll explain the concept of co-ownership. Thank you. I'll read it for all of you. Raman is a co-owner of the property with his brother. Okay? Municipal value is given, fair rent is given, standard rent is given for the whole property. Rent received is given. Yeah. Now, co-ownership, let me first explain you, chalo, the meaning. Listen, I already started the class also with that say there are co-owners of the property. Me and Shreya, I gave you the example. So nothing given, we will have equal ratio. Or they will give that 1.5 crore is given by Dipti ma'am, 50 lakhs is given by Shreya. Then that ratio, 2:1, jo bhi hai. Otherwise, they will give the plinth area or the area of the house. Now, whenever in exam, they ask you co-ownership problem, compute the income of the property as a whole. Whole property, fair rent, municipal value, tuck, the way we have done in 5 minutes. You can complete house property problem. Once you get the final income, of the final income, 2/3 will be taxable in my hands, income from house property, 1/3 in Shreya's hand. समझ में आ रहा है? Whenever in exam they give you co-ownership question, I'm repeating, compute the income at one go without dividing the shares and all. Finally, what you get as income from house property, that you divide it in the ratio given. Nothing given, like in this problem, they said co-owner, but ratio is not given. Then ठीक है, 50% is my income, 50% is yours. ठीक है, चलो तो इसको सॉल्व करते हैं अभी क्लास में ऑन योर ओन. डोंट लुक एट द आंसर, जस्ट सॉल्व इट. आगे भी पढ़ लेते हैं. फेयर रेंट और वो सब आपको करना आएगा. लोन फॉर कंस्ट्रक्शन इज जॉइंटली टेकन and interest charged by the bank is 25, out of which 21 is paid. How much interest you will allow, 21 or 25?
25.
Very good. Very prompt and very quick and very correct answer. Sometimes we know the answer, but we are hesitant. और आप तो यहाँ बैठे so many times in face to class, when I say the answer, immediately the students are saying to their neighbor, देख मैं बोली थी ना यही होगा. अरे तो मुझे बोलो ना. And it's everyone is knowing the answer in exam, but I told you Amitabh Bachchan's that first one, BCDA, who is doing it first. So the quicker you answer, and ma'am nahi aata to kya kare? I am asking you to develop this habit. If you are alert, you will do this habit. What did I read for all of you? Loan for construction is 25, but they have paid 21. I told you interest on loan is allowed on due basis. Even if not paid, whole 25 is allowed. Now, interest on unpaid interest is 450. Interest on interest. Some interest, if I pay late, I have to pay interest on the unpaid interest. Will this be allowed?
No.
No. Interest on interest is not allowed. I gave you that 10,000 example. Now, to repay the loan, Raman and his brother have taken a fresh loan. Okay. Raman and his brother took a fresh loan, and on that interest is 5,000. Can you take more additional housing loan? Yeah. To repay this loan, you have taken another loan. Now, actually, this another loan or fresh loan is nothing but second loan. SBI, IDBI, wohi wala example. So we took another loan. Yeah. To repay this loan, Raman and brother took another loan. On that, they paid interest 5,000. Will you allow 5,000 interest? Yes, or no? Yes. If it is not clear, go and refer 10 minutes. Pehle maine diagram draw kiya. I took first loan from the first bank and I have to pay 25,000 interest. Then I took second loan from another bank. I repaid this loan. But in second loan also I have paid 5,000 interest. Will it be allowed? Yeah. Because now second loan has taken the place of first loan. And municipal tax are paid by tenant. Shall we allow?
No.
No. Municipal tax should be paid by owner and not tenant. And if they say, okay, owner paid but only 50%, 50%. So municipal tax you will not deduct. Without checking the answer, put your calculator या कुछ छुपा दो उसके आंसर को और खुद से करो. It's not a break. अभी आधा घंटा बाकी है ब्रेक को. I'm here only, do it and tell me the answer. आप अभी करो और अभी आंसर बोलो. It's a very nice problem. Compute the income in your notebook by writing those steps. Fair rent or municipal value, whichever is higher, that or standard rent. I'm waiting because when you do on your own, you might be struggling somewhere, or wherever you need help, please ask.
Total.
Yeah. How much is the income coming?
50% ownership है तो शायद 96 question को ownership कुछ mention नहीं ma'am, if nothing is mentioned we are taking 50%, right?
Yeah. Nothing mentioned, beta, you have to take 50%.
ऐसा कुछ नहीं है
Easy, clear to all of you? Fair rent or municipal value, whichever is higher, so 160. That or standard rent, whichever is lower, so 160. That or actual rent into 12, 180, whichever is higher, so 180. Municipal tax we have not deducted because paid by tenant. Now here I have written working note 1 and then municipal tax are paid. You, if you are rushing in the exam and having lack of time, ऐसे ही लिख देना municipal tax bracket में paid by tenant. You know, you are saving your 5 minutes. एक तो इधर के इधर लिख दिया, you have finished writing. You don't have to go down and write the note. You don't have to frame the note. And you don't have to remember ki after the question. So you can definitely do like that. Chalo. Then 30% standard deduction. Interest on loan is allowed 25,000 and second one 5,000 also. Anyone in the class is having doubt, again I want to clear. 5,000 is the interest on loan for second loan taken to repay first loan. Very well allowed. 450 is not allowed because it's interest on interest. So your total income comes to this, and then each one is the co-owner. So you can divide 40% and all. Interest on loan is allowed. Interest on second loan taken to repay is allowed. Interest on interest 450 is not allowed. Easy.
Yes, ma'am.
हाउस प्रॉपर्टी पूरा चैप्टर बहुत इजी है and I'm telling you, you will take minimum 15 minutes to do question number 1, business head. There also in GST ITC. These are savers. 7 marks का question 5 से 7 minutes में होता है. चलो अब एक और कॉन्सेप्ट पढ़ाते हैं. आ जाओ. Now this is my building. 50% ground floor. Is say let out. Single property I'm having building. 50% ground floor is let out. I gave it to Activa Honda showroom. ठीक है? चलो. First floor में the inner 50%, which I'll now call as 25%, is self-occupied. I stay in the back side of the first floor, and 25% is used for my own business. I am having business of this or profession of this teaching and all, and I use it, right? Now, if like this an exam is given, can you make your house property in the part self-occupied part? कितना होगा? 25%. Let out part, ये वाला कितना होगा? 50%. Now, students, if you make 25% used for business column, gone. 0 mark. 25% of your own property, if you are using in business, in the business head, actual expenses are deductible, 25%. I'm going to work out coming to 3 very nice questions. Once again, if you are using it for your own business, whatever 25% municipal tax, interest on loan, ye, wo, all that is actually deductible as your business expenditure. ठीक है ना? तो सेल्फ ऑक्यूपाइड कितना होगा आपका 25%. Let out how much? 50%. Ma'am, then if municipal tax is 10,000, can we deduct 2,500 here, 25%? Can we deduct 5,000 here? Yes. Can we deduct remaining 2,500 in business income? Yes. Acha. Same way, interest on loan. Yeah. So if there is one common, only thing is, if they give you fair rent, municipal value, standard rent for the whole property, for let out, you have to take 50%, 50%, 50%. आज के प्रॉब्लम्स फिर से रिपीट करना. yesterday one single problem 40 minutes because ना हम बेस स्लैब डाल रहे थे, सीमेंटिंग कर रहे थे, right? Okay, now we are working out the variety, not cementing. So today's question you have to solve again in homework. Orally I can understand, and then you do in writing the homework problems. So whenever they give you fair rent, municipal value of this property is 1 lakh. For let out property, how much you will take? 50,000, 50%. So splitting the area and solving the problems, student do it very nice. I'm again saying, where they go wrong is they make 3 column. And the moment paper corrector is saying 3 column, na, isne house property nahi pada. This is not a clerical mistake. This is not a silly mistake. This is a conceptual blunder. If part of the property you're using for your business, actual expense you can claim in the business. You need not pay rent to yourself. I am only using for my business. Business mein rent is expenditure. Here in house property income not allowed. Clear? Chalo. More clarity because there are beautiful. मतलब यहाँ से आगे तक मैं 3-4 problem and especially one Ria's problem, AB problem. These are past exam question and I can't say 11th one to mark it so important. Same problem is already asked twice. इतने अच्छे अच्छे प्रॉब्लम है ये सब पार्टीशन वाले हैं. Okay, now before I start with the partition problem, whatever I explain in simple English, again we are going to read out, but before that, yes, what's your doubt, beta? Bolo.
Why can't we take the business head over here?
Yeah, whatever part is there for business, that will be taken as expenditure on actual basis. See, one thing should be clear. We are in second. अभी एक problem करूँगी ना, उसमें business income आएगा तो clear होगा. But again I am saying, see, we are in house property. House property says allow standard deduction on notional basis. ठीक है, allow. Municipal tax on payment basis allowed. Interest on loan on due basis allowed. When I go to my business head, business is saying take all the expenditures on actual basis. It may be due or paid. Due or outstanding is not a problem. In business head, how do we do? Interest account debit to cash. Interest paid. Interest account debit to outstanding. It's outstanding. But then it's actual. Do you take any fake or assumed expense in the business head? No. That's why it's not allowed. और कोई डाउट है बोलो?
No, ma'am.
एक बार आप और प्रॉब्लम करो और ये जो 2-3 प्रॉब्लम कर रहे हैं वो करने के बाद भी कोई भी डाउट होगा तो पूछो. ठीक है, आई विल रीड दैट पॉइंटर्स आफ्टरवर्ड्स, दे आर सेम. स्ट्रेट आई वांट टू टेक अप सम नाइस प्रॉब्लम. नाइस प्रॉब्लम की डेफिनेशन क्या है? चलो 10th ही करते हैं. X owns a residential house. It has 2 equal units. One unit is self-occupied. Rent is 6,000. 2 months rent could not be recovered. 2 months rent could not be recovered is unrealized. Please remind me after this. ये जो 2-3 प्रॉब्लम कर लें, actually उसके पहले ही करना था. I want to take up the concept of unrealized and arrears of rent. पीछे जाके I'll explain. अभी ये करते हैं. So 6,000 is the rent per month for the let out part. 2 months rent could not be recovered means it's unrealized rent. It's like bed debt. You are staying in my property till March, but after January you didn't pay rent. I made you so many calls. I've sent you legal notice also. I've come and told you also rent pay karo, आप pay नहीं करते हो. So that's called as unrealized rent, right? Municipal tax is 12% paid by X. Oh wow. If X is paying, municipal tax is deductible. Municipal value of the whole property is given. But 50% is self-occupied. घर है आपका. Or 50% is let out. Other expenses are repairs, insurance, scratch. Scratch means abhi to scratch, ma'am, standard deduction. Interest on capital is borrowed in 1998 for construction. If the loan is taken before 1499 or if the loan is taken for repairs, interest allowed is 30,000 and not 2 lakh in self-occupied property. These are the dialogues I may be saying 20 times. क्योंकि बार बार सुनने से ही लर्न होगा. आ जाओ. Find the income of X. First, please ask me, are you struggling anywhere in reading the question? When I'm reading, I'm teaching you interpretation which should go in your mind in exam. Reading the question paper is an art. If you have mastered that, 50% of the game done. ये 10th वाला क्वेश्चन पढ़ने में समझ में आया?
हाँ मैम.
क्या नहीं समझ रहा बेटा?
Understood ma'am.
Okay. I keep asking, as I said, I am not doing all the screen. My camera is not on you all. It's here in my notebook and my touch screen. If I can see and I can make out, I'll not be asking 10 times like this. Samjha, it. Chalo, let us take up. आज हमने कुछ भी, today we have not written anything, no, as a booster note. Nothing we wrote. Aja. We are doing partition problems and this is our problem number 10th. Oops. Problem number 10th. Computation of income of Mr. X. Always for the previous year 24-20. Though house property, oh my god, I can say years there have been none. Acha, this time there are part of the properties. So one thing, really I want all of you to take this. So many times, before exam you get that RTP, revision paper or mock test paper. There they change the format. First they will do everything for SOP, then they will do for LOP, then they will do. In exam, if there are 2, 3, 5 properties, can we make in column form? Yes. To save our time, so that particulars we are writing only once. Promise? You will see, ma'am, आपने ऐसे सिखाया कुछ RTP में तो first they have done everything from SOP, an outer column. Then LOP, that इतनी मेहनत नहीं करना है. You can do it in one column. And I'm going to give you very specific and nice instructions for the presentation. वो तो आपको कभी भी डाउट है तो पूछो clearly, because I've seen so many students getting answer sheet and showing me, so we can really make up how they are doing. आ जाओ. X is owning a residential house, 2 equal part. Self-occupied is 50% and LOP, let out, is 50%. Dear students, I'm again saying twice in exam, instead of 50%, they gave you area. 250 square feet was self-occupied and 750 square feet. वो आ जाएगा सबको. चलो. Quickly now, exam oriented. So can we write the steps? I don't want you to copy from the screen. I want to say it as a prayer together with me and let us write it together. Fair rent and municipal value, whichever is higher. Step 1, or standard rent, whichever is. Step 2, or actual rent, will give you the gross annual value less municipal taxes. अच्छे problem. Today at least I am not counting, but without counting I can say around 7 to 8 problems we will do. कल एक ही किया था. Standard deduction. Chalo. All of you finish drawing. Always we should do in the exam first SOP. Self-occupied property, GAV is nil, municipal tax is not allowed, NAV is nil, 30% standard deduction nil, and now check the interest part. Interest on the capital borrowed is 63,000. So how much I should take here? How much?
50%.
Total interest is 63,000. 50% is let out and 50% is self-occupied. So यहाँ कितना लूँ?
31,500 आएगा, but 30,000 is only allowed because it was before 1999. So 30,000.
आप लोगों को क्लास टेस्ट के पेपर में मुझे अच्छे बनाना पड़ेगा. Perfect interpretation, a big clap, very good. आ जाओ. I want all of you to write working note 1. Interest on loan for SOP is 63,000 into half or 50%, 31,500, but allowed only 30,000 as loan is taken on or during 1998. Before 1499, if you have taken loan for self-occupied property, not 2 lakh, interest is allowed only 30,000. See, first time only if you study with so much clarity, why will you have a doubt in exam? This is my question. Students, once they go in pass fail rut, I feel so bad. They are also hardworking. But first time if learning is not in depth, then that juggling goes on. BA sikha, BA sikha. Everyone is clear why you should do SOP first to get stepwise marks, because you do that fast. Now go to the second one. There you have to do 50%. So we can do it down here. Working note 2. Fair rent. 140 ka 50% of half. 70,000. Municipal value. 130 ka 50% or half. 65,000. Standard rent. 125. Everyone is clear why did I take half? Because they gave the property value for the full and the let out part is only 50%. Now, fair rent or municipal value, whichever is higher. So 70,000. 70,000. Standard rent 62,500, whichever is lower. That or actual rent. I want all of you to write actual rent also here. Actual rent is 6,000 per month, but 2 months rent could not be recovered. So first you should write, you know, in your study material actual rent की जगह ARR देते हैं. RRR नहीं, ARR. What is ARR? Actual rent receivable is 72,000. Are you all reading the question? Many students, they face more problem because they do so well looking at the screen and my explanation. But when Dipti ma'am is reading, you have to read. When I'm writing, you have to write. When I say listen, so many times purposely I stop the screen sharing and I say listen. So listen. Abhi dekho. Read in the question, all of you. Second line, actual rent is 6,000 per month. 2 months could not be realized. So you call it as unrealized rent. Super duper for your MCQs. Unrealized rent is always deductible from the GAV. तो अभी तो यहीं से डिडक्ट कर लेते हैं इसको. कितना आएगा आपका?
12,000.
6,000 into 2. 12,000. So 60,000. You know what? Some books they do fair rent or municipal value, whichever is high. So this. That or standard rent, whichever is low. So this or actual rent. So they write here 72,000 and here they show minus. In 72, sorry, last 2 months rent तो मिला ही नहीं आपको 12,000. So it's like 60,000. Working note 2. यहाँ भी reference लिखो. Whenever you make working note in bracket or circle करके उसको highlight करना है बेटा. Working note.
Excuse me, ma'am.
हाँ बोलो.
मैम यहाँ पे हमने अनरियलाइज्ड रेंट के लिए अलग एक एडिशन नहीं लिखा है ना सेपरेटली.
किसके लिए एडिशन?
फॉर अनरियलाइज्ड रेंट.
हाँ
डायरेक्टली डिडक्ट कर लिया है ना हमने.
हाँ.
तो क्वेश्चन नंबर 3 में आपने सेपरेटली लिखवाया अनरियलाइज्ड रेंट. उसमें भी डायरेक्टली डिडक्टेड ही है क्वेश्चन में से.
Yeah, you can deduct it, but the best presentation is to deduct it from the GAV. चलो वहां और यहाँ सेम presentation करना है तो you can take this as 72,000. While taking GAV, 72,000 minus unrealized rent and now 60,000. Unrealized rent is always deductible from GAV. Third step I have done because mathematically it was same. Now, municipal tax. Municipal tax is given, no? मुझे क्यों नहीं मिल रहा है municipal tax? Yeah, second line. It's 12% of the municipal value. So what's the municipal value you will take? No, first till GAV, what is the doubt? Don't discuss mutually, ask me. GAV तक किसी को कोई डाउट है? थोड़ा आगे आके पूछ लो अगर नहीं आ रहा है ना बेटा. I'll wait for you. I told you we are in learning mode. कोई एग्जाम नहीं चल रही कि हम भाग रहे नहीं है कहीं. Today we are doing only partition problem after the break also. My concept teaching for today is over. First half an hour of the class, afresh, I will teach some concept. Then I'll apply and tuck, 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 we'll go.
Maybe 6500.
Municipal, हाँ बोलो.
हो गया.
क्या हो गया? आप लोग पूरा प्रॉब्लम ही सॉल्व कर लिए मेरे से आगे. हाँ, म्यूनिसिपल टैक्स यू टेल मी व्हाट आई शुड टेक. म्यूनिसिपल वैल्यू कितनी है फॉर दिस पार्ट? 65,000 का 12%.
7,800.
7,800.
मैम 1,30,000 का होगा ना?
हाँ बट देन फिर उसका हाफ करो, वैसे करो, फिर
हाँ
वही
राइट,
बात.
सही सही.
हाँ लेकिन पूछो ना, इसका मतलब आप लोग जाग रहे हैं मेरे क्लास में, कोई सो रहा नहीं है. बहुत अच्छी बातें हैं. म्यूनिसिपल वैल्यू इफ यू वांट टू डू बेटा यू कैन डेफिनेटली डू. 130 का 12% कितना आ रहा है? 15,600. फिर उसका हाफ लो क्योंकि इट इज हाफ. So 7,800. You know when you are learning mode and you learn like this, I am telling you, सब लोग देखते रहेंगे, आपकी पेन फ्लो होगी. क्योंकि आपने ये जो खिचखिच है ना, स्टूडेंट स्ट्रगल दिस पार्ट. व्हाट समवन आस्क्ड मी, राम आयुष किसने पूछा मुझे नाम नहीं मालूम, बट थैंक यू सो मच. The thing which you are clearing now, I am making you feel this is the point where student struggle in the exam. Why you have to struggle in the exam? You should have that mathematical clarity. Either like this or I'll directly take municipal value. मैंने इधर ही आधा कर दिया तो 65,000 का कितना परसेंट? 12%. तभी भी 7,800 आएगा. Really, I want all of you to write both in your notebook for clarity. अभी पूछो बेटा क्या डाउट है? तो फिर ना आप लोगों को ब्रेक की जरूरत है और दीप्ति मैम बहुत स्लो चल रहे हैं, तो अब दीप्ति मैम ने एक्सप्रेस स्पीड पकड़ ली है. स्टैंडर्ड डिडक्शन. हाँ, इंटरेस्ट ऑन लोन, हाउ मच आई शुड डिडक्ट?
500. नहीं गया था 31,500 मैम.
मैम ये 52,200 कैसे आया?
54,700 आया.
One second. Wait. Fair rent or fair rent or municipal value, whichever is higher. That or standard rent. No, fair rent or municipal value, whichever is higher. That or standard rent. I copied wrong figure, no?
Yes, ma'am.
ये 72,000 नहीं 62,500 होना चाहिए.
अरे बट क्यों? एक्चुअल रेंट आपको दिया है ना. One second, we will check everything. It's changing because we are changing the interpretation कि unrealized rent कहाँ पे deduct करना है.
Yes.
62,500. Wait a minute, no problem, we'll clear it. It's not house property. Income tax is a subject where things keep changing. 6,000 into 12 is the actual rent receivable. So if you deduct it there only, it will be 62,500. But we have taken it as one second, actual rent, and then the GAV. We'll deduct it from the unrealized rent only, and we'll take this. Because GAV के बाद ही unrealized rent कम होता है, not from the actual rent. If you deduct it from actual rent in third step, this will only become 60,000. And then the step 2, 62,500 will become higher. But better, this is not clarified in the study material, we'll go like this only. Change कर दो इसको और इसको यही correctly लो. 52,200 इसका कितना आ रहा है आपका 30%? 15. हाँ. Now tell me interest how much we should take?
31,500.
31,500 full, because it will be fully deductible if it is 5040. Acha, if you do this much, you will lose -1 mark. What is your total house property income? Here there is a loss. Here there is an income. Can you set off? Yes. Yes, you can set off, and it is 24,960. And in this problem, suppose if they have given you, I hope you are getting this loss may, this income you can set off, and your loss is 24,960 and come down. Income from house property is 24,960 loss, and they have given in a question income from other sources is 180. Can we set off house property loss in other source? Yes. So what will be the TI or the total income? $155,000. For sure, we will do it like this. Problem number 10th में actual rent receivable ही लेंगे third step में. Unrealized rent is always deductible from the GAV. We'll do more problems for unrealized rent, for arrears of rent, and for partition after the break. Tomorrow also we are doing the same thing with highlighted way is the pre-construction interest, and then some more combination. ठीक है? तो जल्दी से आ जाओ ब्रेक लेके. If you have any doubt, you can again. Oh, got it. So hope the steps are clear. Once again today, what new thing I have taught you right in the half an hour, which we are applying and solving more questions. First is interest on loan is allowed. Interest on second loan taken to repay the first loan, that second loan interest is also allowed. Interest on interest is not allowed. To pay the interest or EMI of 1 lakh, you have taken a loan from another bank and you've paid 10,000 interest, like in this problem, 450 interest. Not allowed. Second thing is, if the property is partitioned, you have to make column only for the self-occupied and let out, not for the part which is used for business. तो फिर मैम the part which is used for business, उसका क्या करना है? That actual expenses you have to deduct in the business end. Abhi the next problem I work out. Okay. One more place where there was doubt I want to clarify. Fair rent or municipal value, whichever is high. That or standard rent, whichever is low. That or actual rent receivable, whichever is high. This you have to take in third step. Ma'am, but in yesterday one problem, actual rent was low, still you took. It was low due to vacancy. Today in this problem, it's not low due to vacancy. It's low because of the unrealized rent. So unrealized rent is always deducted from the GAV. You work out the 3 steps, what I told you. Get the GAV. From the GAV, unrealized rent is that rent which is due but not received. There's one more concept here called as arrears of rent and annual charge. I'm talking about it now and then we'll work out the problem. First, I'm talking about annual charge. Anyone in the class knows that in the property, if someone is saying that, okay, I'm saying that the whole rent should be received by Ram, but one thing, Ram, you have to do that every month 5,000 fixed you pay to your mom, your mother, rest rent whatever you want to do. Are you getting? So that is called as annual charge. I'll give you one more example. This practically comes by way of bill. My father-in-law said that after me, this house belongs to my daughter-in-law Dipti. She can enjoy the rental income. Every month 5,000 she should pay to her mother-in-law. Asa, just an example I'm giving. So now who is the owner of the house? Father-in-law. In his will, it was written that after he is no more, rental income will directly pass on to daughter-in-law. So I am receiving monthly 25,000 rent. But he said that whatever rent is received by daughter-in-law, fixed annual charge, 5,000 per month, according to that 60,000 I have to give to my mother-in-law. Remaining rent I can enjoy. That's by will. Now tell me one thing. Annual charge is what I have to give out of the rent. I have received rental income 25,000 into 12. Fair rent, municipal value, all karke I got. But out of this 5,000 I'm paying to my mother-in-law. Can I deduct it in the computation? Logically you try to answer.
Yes.
Where?
GAV.
Annual charge में से अगर GAV from GAV if you deduct annual charge, then how will you take the municipal tax and NAV after that? Is it?
अच्छा नहीं, NAV के बाद.
तो NAV का standard deduction फिर कैसे लेंगे?
Standard deduction के बाद.
मैम लोन के बाद
ऐसे करके तो क्लासरूम के बाहर चला जाएगा. Yeah, I
लोन के
really
इंटरेस्ट के
wanted
बाद
this response. Superb, thank you. Yeah, someone was saying the answer.
NAV पे ही
लोन
लेते
के
हैं
बाद
standard deduction, फिर इंटरेस्ट ऑन लोन जैसे लेते हैं वैसे ही ये भी एनुअल चार्ज.
So you are saying कि NAV भी ले लो, standard deduction of NAV, then interest on loan, and then this
एनुअल चार्ज.
annual
this
charge.
is
Okay, Ram, you also want to say कि annual charge नीचे last में deduct तो करो, लेकिन answer is नहीं होता ना. And मैंने बोला था whatever I say it with some importance. I clearly said house property is saying GAV After that, only 3 expenditure are allowed. Abhi to we are in house property, business head, capital gain, salary, other source, deduction. Once again, in between the class, I'll ask you, how many deductions are allowed from house property? Ma'am, 3. Municipal tax on payment basis. Standard deduction 30% for all the kitch. Every problem you're seeing, we are cancelling the interest on loan, I'm so sorry, repairs, ground rent and all. Standard deduction. Third is interest on loan, over and out. But ma'am, you are not enjoying the whole rent. You are receiving 25,000 to 5,000 you are paying to your mother. That's application of income. No deduction will be allowed. इतनी मेहनत की जरूरत नहीं है. मैं आपको एक लाइन लिखा सकती थी. एनुअल चार्ज राइट डाउन, इट्स नॉट डिडक्टेबल एनीवेयर. चलो प्रॉब्लम सॉल्व करते हैं. चलो नहीं काम में आएगा. समझ में आ रहा है? अंडरस्टैंड द रीजन प्लीज. My father-in-law said this property belongs to daughter-in-law. Let her enjoy the rental income. So I am enjoying 25,000 income. Now out of that 5,000 I have to pay to my mother-in-law. That's application of income. That's not allowed as expenditure. Husband is getting a salary of 50,000. He gives the whole salary to wife. So wife does some all household expenditure, ये वो बच्चों का फीस सब करते हैं. So will you get a deduction in your salary income saying salary किधर है? I to receive salary 50, I give to my wife and this and that and that. No. So the conclusion is annual charge is very logical, allowed as per will. It's not deductible here. I think I have already printed one note also. वो पढ़ के we will solve the next question. Yeah, I want all of you to read all the notes before the 10th question. Income of each portion should be computed separately as let out portion and SOP. There's no need to treat the property as single unit. You know, unit 1, unit 2, you can use it. Fair rent, municipal value, standard rent, property taxes, and interest shall be apportioned either on the plinth area or the built up area or any other reasonable basis. Okay? Right. If construction is over during the year, then while computing GAV, fair rent, municipal value, standard rent, actual rent should be considered only for the remaining period. Oh, this came in between, but this I already clarified. No, if the construction is over during the year, in between the year, जैसे वो मई में खत्म हुआ था. For example, if the construction is completed in May, then fair rent, municipal value, standard rent, actual rent, only for the remaining months you have to take. Okay, right. Yes. One minute. Next, if part of the property is used for business, do not make separate column. I told you it will be a blunder. Instead, deduct the proportionate expenses in the business head. Ma'am, how? Chalo, ab dekhte hain. Ria owns a big house. House has 3 independent units. I hope you're getting when I've drawn this diagram and I said ye or ye, to ye ho gaya mera unit 1, ye unit 3. Can you make units out of this, right? So unit 1, 50% is let out on residential purpose on monthly rent. Unit 1 remains vacant for 1 month. When it is not put to use, a sum of 700 could not be collected from the tenant. So it's UR, unrealized rent. Unit 2 is self-occupied, while Unit 3, remaining 25%, is used for the residence. Are you getting? 50% is let out. Unit 2, 25% is used for own business and 25% is self-occupied. So we will make the column for unit 1 and unit 3. Ma'am, 25% used for own business, actual expense deductible there. Acha, this problem you can write here twice. This is already asked. Past exam question. P या जो भी आपको लिखना है. 7 marks. Municipal value, fair rent, standard rent is given for the whole property. You have to take 50% because 50% is only let out. Ma'am, remaining 25% self-occupied, वो तो वैसे ही self-occupied तो वैसे ही the GAV is there. Municipal taxes 15,000. Repairs not allowed. Interest on capital borrowed for renewal 36,000 allowed. Ground rent not allowed. ये देखो. Annual charge. I want all of you to underline this in your question. You all have got the material now?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, great, great. Thank you. Annual charge created under the will by father in favor of Ria. Father said, Ria, this house belongs to you, but annual charge 9,000 you have to pay to so-and-so school or orphanage, to your relative, to your chota brother, like that. Fire insurance, nahi allowed hoga. Income of Ria from profession is given without debiting house rent related expenses and depreciation, which is 8,000. In house property, you can't claim depreciation क्योंकि standard deduction आ गया ना, right? Compute the income of Ria. How much portion of the house is let out? 50%. How much is self-occupied? 25. And remaining 25 is used for profession. Chalo. 11th problem we'll work now in the notebook and mark it very important. It's my guesswork कि ये पता नहीं इतना पसंद है इनको, फिर से तीसरी बार भी यही प्रॉब्लम पूछ सकते हैं. Oh, oops, we had to go to notebook. आ जाओ. Problem number 11. You want to write a note for annual charge? मुझे क्यों नहीं दिखा, मैंने annual charge का note तो लिखा था कहीं. ठीक है, हम लिख लेंगे अभी. Some booster note. We didn't write anything, no, today in the booster note, so we are writing. Annual charge. Booster note solve with one color, please. You write down. So annual charge. Annual charge as per will is paid out of rental income, but no deduction. No deduction is allowed. Ma'am, business head में deduct होगा, वहां भी deduct नहीं होगा. It's like application of income. It's like personal. So I am receiving 25,000 rent. फिर उसमें मैं हर महीने 5,000 I give donation or I do this or that. So annual charge is as per will is paid out of rental income, but no deduction is allowed as it is application of income. Application of income. Anyone in the class who don't remember application of income and diversion of income, go and read your first chapter. और एक note लिख लो. This is already printed in the material, but I want you all to print in your mind. तो लिखो. Portion of house used for business. Proportionate expenses are allowed as business expense. अभी अगर 80% समझाए कोई बात नहीं, I'll just apply it and make it super clear. Portion of house which is used for business, proportionate expenses are allowed as business expense. Chalo. Now we are doing problem number 11, and I want you all to mark it very important. Problem number 11. in your note. How many columns I should make for Ria's income?
2 columns.
2 columns. Computation of income for Ria. Is it easy or not? House property head.
Easy, ma'am.
Pre-construction interest, it's a challenge with bang on. I'm saying the way you will study tomorrow, you can explain to all your friends who are telling you, अरे house property सब करके जाता हूँ मैं, सिर्फ business head I सिर्फ pre-construction interest I leave, I don't understand. You will be able to explain them that many nice examples and step by step I'll make you learn. But कल आज आ जाओ particulars. 50% is let out. 25% is self-occupied. But I'm very sure कि जो self-occupied है ना, that you have to do it first. Now I want all of you to write very quickly. Shall we start together? ये जैसे एकदम मैं आप सबको देख सकती हूँ ऐसे face to face. I want all of you to write with me as a prayer. कैसे टक 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 बोलते हैं ना? Fair rent or municipal value, whichever is higher. Step 1 or standard rent, whichever is lower. Step 2 or actual rent, whichever is higher. Leave one line because we will write the unrealized rent also here once we get GAV. Then we will do municipal tax. We get NAV. Then we do 30% standard deduction. And then interest on loan. And you get income from house property for an out. Everyone has finished drawing format with me? हो गया या लिख रहे हैं अभी?
हो गया मैम.
चलो चलो फिर साथ में करते हैं. The house has 3 units. 50% is let out on monthly rent of 8,200. ठीक है? And it was vacant also. And there is unrealized rent also. ठीक है? 25% is self-occupied. Let us do the self-occupied first, whether you write it left-hand side or right-hand side. GAV should always be nil. NAV should always be nil. And now interest on loan. I'm searching. Interest on capital borrowed is 36,000. So 36,000 ka 25%. 4 9s are 36, na? 9,000. 1/4. 9,000. Okay. So there's a
Negative 9,000.
loss of 9,000. Now, municipal value of the whole house is given. So as I said earlier, municipal value 60,000. You have to take half, 30,000. Fair rent. I want all of you to write this down, though it's very clear orally. 35,000. Standard rent. Standard rent. As per the Rent Control Act. Actual rent. Actual rent is 8,200, but 1 month it is vacant. See, vacant and unrealized is different if you have not followed, and even if you have followed, listen to it again. Vacant means for March you have not occupied. Bye bye. आप February में खाली करके चले गए. You are not occupying my property for 1 month. So 11 months. And unrealized means you are occupying, but you're not paying rent. Like bed debt. I've sold you the goods. I told you party to sales. Now party, give me money, bank to party, paise hi nahi aa rahe. So I had to do bed debt to party. That's the logic. So 8,200 is the rent and we will take it for 11 months. Kitna aa raha hai 8,200 into 11? How much? 9. Please don't rely on the answer. बिल्कुल हटा दो उसको. मैम आप ही प्रिंट कर रहे हैं, आप ही बोल रहे हैं. Because I want you to work with me. Fair rent and municipal value, whichever is higher. What is my step 1 answer? 35,000. That or standard rent, whichever is lower. 45 or 35. That or fair rent or municipal value, whichever is higher, this or this, whichever is lower, so 35. Now this or actual rent. So 90,200. So the GAV will be 90,200 GAV minus unrealized rent. Kitna hai unrealized rent? 700. Are you getting in the problem? Second or third line. A sum of 700 could not be collected. Now, 89,500. So we'll take GAV as. We got the third step as GAV. From that, we have deducted unrealized rent and we got 89,500. Now, municipal tax is 15,000 ka 50%. 7,500. 82,000 ka 30%.
24,600.
24,600. Thank you. And then interest 36,000 ka 50%. Preferably, if you can write it, it will be very clear.
$39,400.
Easy. Let out property. Take your pause. Take a pause and tell me if this part is clear. I've taken actual rent for 11 months because 1 month it was vacant. So vacancy we will deduct here only. And then unrealized rent from that JV I have taken like this. Right? Now, they have also given you in the second last line, income from profession. I want all of you to come down and work like this. Income from profession. Particulars, amount. Income from profession is 95,000. Are you all reading? Second last line. Without house rent and other expenditure related to house and additional depreciation. So now can we deduct admissible depreciation? See, listen all of you. Listen. When I use my own building for my business, can I claim depreciation? Accounts mein seekhe na? You are the owner of the building to bank, depreciation to building. So the portion of the building which is used for business, you are the owner. Can you claim depreciation? Yes. All the other expenses. How much? 50%? No, sorry. 25%. 1/4 are used for business. Can you claim it on actual basis? Yes. So I really want you all to go 2 minutes and read the question with me, even if you know it. ये annual charge का तो मैंने clear कर दिया. Income of RIA is 95,000 here without debiting house rent and other expenses, which we will deduct now. and admissible depreciation on the portion of house which is used for business, and that's 8,000. Okay, so we will take up all that. This is a different thing we are doing now. Abhi tak to same tha. So how much depreciation I should deduct?
8,000.
8,000. Anyone in the class जिसका मन हो रहा है कि मैं थोड़ा silly mistake करके 8,000 का 25% लूं? Anyone? कभी मन करता है, और वो करना भी चाहिए, you know. The more you are confused in your class and you are able to decide. How many of you have felt, not only here in the accounts class also, ki you were juggling to get the answer in single entry and balance sheet was not telling, and then you checked it with some trick, you know, this, and then you got the balance sheet. That's what happens here in income tax also in exam. 8,000 ka 1/4 lu kya? No. It's written 8,000 is the depreciation for the profession part. So it's directly. So like this, when there are dual, flip it, face head on, right? मतलब उसको तभी के तभी face करना है, तो clarity आते जाएगी. You will become very independent. आ जाओ, come now. Now go to first para and read all the expenditures. Second para, sorry, municipal value, fair rent, standard rent, वो तो ठीक है. Municipal tax. How much is municipal tax? 15,000. Can I take 25% or directly I'll write 1/4? 3,750 without calculator, because half is 7,500, uska half. Repairs 4,000 ka 1/4, 1,000. Interest 36,000 ka
Income from professional income.
1/4. Ground rent. Did you get interest? I have deducted 18 here, 9 here, and 9 here. Pura interest deduct ho gaya. Ground rent 6,400, 1/4. Ma'am, where 3/4 is deductible? Array, instead of 3/4 you took standard deduction, no? 1,600.
कितना मजाक नहीं करते.
ग्राउंड रेंट की बात कहाँ थे हम लोग? एनुअल चार्ज ब्रैकेट में नॉट अलाउड, so that let the valuer know कि you know कि annual charge is not allowed. Fire premium. I know little longer problem, but it's good. Fire premium is 15,000.
हो गया तेरा? हो गया सब? सब हो गया. Obviously. Ma'am, done.
क्या हुआ? Don't discuss mutually. पूछो.
Done with problem. Done.
हाँ?
Done.
Yeah, say what's the doubt?
No doubt ना problem हो गया है.
अच्छा, आप लोग मेरे से फास्ट करते हो ना. मैं एज हो रही है मेरी, आप प्रूफ कर रहे. दीप्ति मैम आप स्लो है, हम फास्ट है. ठीक है. You all are done with. Then wait no for Dipti ma'am to complete. नहीं करेंगे वेट मेरे लिए, आगे भाग जाएंगे आप लोग. टोटल बोलो कितना आया. चलो आप टोटल बोलो, I'll copy. How much is the total of expenditure? हाँ?
67,900.
किसी ने किया ही नहीं है, क्योंकि आप सबने कॉपी किया है. अब आप कॉपी करो मेरे से.
मैम
67,900 is not the total. I was asking. It's the total of business income.
300. Very good.
And now income from house property you have to write again.
498,300.
39,400. For which part?
30,400.
For the let out part.
It's not 39,400.
It's 39,400 for the let out part. Self-occupied part 9,000. I told you presentation is important. There I have given shortcut. आपको ऐसे लिखना पड़ेगा ना कि इसमें से आप ये सेट ऑफ करोगे ना.
हमने पहले कर दिया.
आपने इधर ही लिख लिया 3,400. ठीक है ठीक है ठीक है ठीक है. प्रॉब्लम ही खत्म हो गया. एक और प्रॉब्लम करना है. भूख लग रही है तो थोड़ा नाश्ता अच्छा करो. 98,300. What new you have studied in this problem is annual charge, not allowed. Second new thing over here is that all expenditure are allowed on actual basis. Students, when I give this problem for exam, they do 8,000 ka bhi 1/4. Please don't do that. 8,000 is directly taken. Chalo. Time to give you all homework for partition problem. Without seeing, do it, then check it and write the duration. Writing the duration is fitting something in your subconscious mind. So, bilkul karna hai. Arhan owns a property. Construction is completed in 97. 50% of the property is let out on a monthly rent, but it remained vacant. And the municipal value is given 45,000 and 25% is used for practice and balance is the house. So accordingly, you have to split and do. Nothing is typical in the problem. Pucho.
कौन सा क्वेश्चन है मैम होमवर्क का?
12th question is homework for all of you.
अरियर्स का क्या करेंगे मैम?
अरियर्स बता रही हूँ पहले होमवर्क दे रही हूँ. 13th is also homework. 13th is also homework without any hint from my side. Chalo. Now we'll go to arrears. Achha, one thing I want all of you to fit in your mind orally, then I'll make you write also and then I read it from material. Ye 3 wala procedure I apply when some concept is 100% sure to come in exam, and that is in MCQs arrears of rent. Anyone knows the meaning? What do you mean by arrears of rent? Little louder.
Outstanding rent.
Outstanding rent. It's the increase in the rent with retrospective effect. Since last 3 years, you are paying me rent 10,000 per month. I said, बढ़ा के दो, नहीं तो खाली करो. बढ़ा के दो, नहीं तो खाली करो. So this year you are saying, okay, ma'am, you wanted me to increase. Now I'll pay 11,000. I said, no, 11,000 not from now. I want you to pay from last year. So what is happening, because I asked you to pay 1,000 extra rent from last year, with retrospective effect, you pay me increase in rent. But imagine this year is burdened so much. This year though you paid me 11,000 instead of 10,000. You also paid me arrears, increase in the rent with retrospective effect of last 2-3 years. All I receive now. Shall I tax it under house property? Yes. But then don't add it in the GAV, NAV and all. Separately, arrears of rent is taxable. But tell me one thing, dear students. I was asking you last 2-3 years. Last year also, instead of 10,000, if you would have paid me 1,000 extra, I would have got at least 30% standard deduction. So whenever arrears of rent is received, it is taxable in income from house property and 30% standard deduction is allowed. The mistake students do it, there's a self-occupied, there's a let out. वो लोग ना GAV में ऐड करते हैं, अलग से टैक्स करना है. You have to tax arrears of rent separately. Don't add it in the GAV. You will see in one of the homework question how you need to present. Okay. Now, like arrears of rent, what is unrealized rent? Arrears of rent is clear, no? Whenever the increase in the rent is received with retrospective effect, it is taxable. Achha, sometimes arrears of rent is received now in June, and I may not be the owner of the. मैं बोल रही थी rent बढ़ा के दो. So you have paid now, but by that time, in between this month only, I have sold the property to Shreya. मैंने किसी को तो ये property बेच दी. So still unrealized rent or arrears of rent, will it be taxable in house property? Answer is yes. Now comes the same concept of unrealized rent. Unrealized rent in layman's term is like bad debt. I have sold you the goods, 10,000. Pay करो ना. अरे कैश दो, अरे चेक दो, अरे बिल रिसीवेबल दो, कुछ तो दो, कुछ भी नहीं दे रहे. तो बेड डेट टू पार्टी, पूरे पैसे मेरे डूब गए. I have lost my money. In the same way, unrealized rent is for February and March. You occupied my property, but you didn't pay. So am I allowed to deduct it? Already we have solved two problems where I deducted unrealized rent. Take a pause and everyone should be clear at this point. Vacancy is different and unrealized rent is different. Vacancy is you have vacated my property in January, February, March, कोई tenant ही नहीं है मेरे पास. And unrealized rent is you are still in my property till March, but February and March you didn't pay me the rent. In spite of me doing all the legal proceedings, everything. So the first line of action is whenever it is unrealized rent, can we deduct it in the third step only, actual rent receivable? Huh? Sorry, from the GAV, not the third step. Unrealized rent, always you will deduct it from the GAV. Okay. So now what happened is that, say I have given my property on rent to Ram and he didn't pay. So unrealized rent ho gaya hai na? So I to deduct it, unrealized rent 2 months, 10,000 into 10 only I tax because 2 months rent, Ram, you have not paid me. ठीक है, unrealized rent हो गया. After 2-3 years, I met Ram in a function. He said, ma'am, that time I was not doing good. I did not pay you. Now I'm doing very well. Please take it. So he insisted. And I said, Arey, forget it, Ram. I have already put it in bed debt. Wo story khatam ho gayi. And in fact, I'll tell you, I've already sold my property to my neighbor. And I've shifted also. So I'm not having the property. Ram is insisting. He's saying, ma'am, karmic account goes up. You can't take anything in free fund from anyone. Otherwise, you have to repay double, triple in your next birth. So this is in English called as karmic account. So Ram said, ma'am, please take it. It's my insistence. I said, okay. Now 20,000 I have received from Ram as unrealized rent after 3 years. When I'm not even the owner of the property, I've already sold the property to my neighbor. First question to all of you. Will this be taxable as income for me? Yes or no?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. This is my income. Under which head? Bacha kucha other source. Ma'am, you don't have any property. How can you knock and enter section 22? Chargeability section. I can. Even if I'm not the owner of the property, this is the unrealized rent of that period when I was the owner. So always, whenever you realize unrealized rent, it's going to be taxable in house property, irrespective I'm the owner of the property or not. 30% standard deduction allowed, like arrears of rent. So until now, whatever question you have solved, you have given the treatment that unrealized rent is deductible from GAV. Now I am teaching you when it is received, it is taxable. But please remember, dear students, if there is H1, H2, H3, खिच करके कहीं नहीं डाल देना. Don't put that unrealized rent in any one of the properties, ma'am. Anyhow, mathematically is 30%. Separately, you tax it. So with this, we will take up 5 minutes more and then conclude the class. हम जाते हैं unrealized rent पढ़ने जो काफी पीछे होगा. Homework I hope is clear. Classwork also you have to revise. I'm going to take only 2 concepts pending in house property tomorrow and complete this head. One is pre-construction interest and another is rental income received in dollars. तो वो हम कल करेंगे. Right now I'm taking up this concept. Unrealized rent. Rent which is due but not recovered. It is excluded from the actual rent before the GAV if rule 4 conditions are satisfied. Tenancy is, acha, this is like theory question, huh? Isko mark karo. Ma'am, what are the conditions subject to which unrealized rent can be deducted? First is tenancy is bona fide. You know, whenever we take property on rent or give property, there's an agreement. And nowadays the agreement are done for 11 months. Every 11 months it will change. हर 12 महीने में rent 5% बढ़ेगा, है ना? So anyone around you, any of your parents, brothers have given the property on rent or you are staying in the rented house, please ask your parents to show you the rental agreement and read it. Huh? So the tenancy is bona fide. I want all of you to write here rental agreement. Defaulting tenant has vacated or steps have been taken. You're not paying the rent in February and March. Vacate my property. Go out. So you have vacated the property. Or defaulting tenant is not in occupation of any other property. If you are not paying the rent of H1, I don't want you to occupy H2 also. Usko bhi khali karo. I don't want any relation with you. Today you are not paying this rent. Tomorrow you will not pay that rent. And the fourth is SSE has taken all the legal steps and he satisfies the assessing officer that legal steps are useless. This person has run away. Even if we send legal notice, it will come back. So unrealized rent is practically, in exam so you can deduct directly. Practically, see, ma'am, why so many conditions? ऐसा लग रहा है आप law पढ़ा रहे हो. इसके पीछे बहुत beautiful logic है. I have received 12 months rent from Ayush. Can I say, no, Ayush has paid me only 8 months rent. Remaining 4 months is unrealized. And I'll say, Ayush khara ke alag se de dena. Don't give it in my bank account. So people can claim good rent as unrealized rent and reduce the income and evade the tax. Are you getting? That's why if you are showing unrealized rent here, I'll go to the business head. There I'll say, if you are showing bad debt, you have to prove it. You can't say every good sales is a bad debt. Yeah. Let me tell you practical side. When your books of accounts are checked or audited by a CA in business head, the people who show loss, no, they have to be very careful. You have to prove to department, sorry, I don't have any income, I can't pay tax, I have a loss, I'll carry forward loss. Itna easy nahi hai. So like that, if you have vacated my property in January, no problem. But you have occupied my property in March, the onus lies on SSC to prove that I have not received the rent from you for February and March. मुझे rent मिला ही नहीं है. It's unrealized. And how do I prove? 4 conditions. Is first condition. Is the agreement bona fide? Is there? Yes. Has the tenant vacated? Yes. Third, he should not occupy any other property. Fourth, it's proved that any legal proceedings are based. Satisfied? Unrealized rent can be deducted from GA. Okay? So this condition, once they have asked in theory question, you can mark as theory question. Unrealized rent, whenever it is received, it is taxable as income from house property. It is taxable even if he is not owner, and it is taxable with 30% standard deduction. Same. Arrears of rent. Increase in the rent with retrospective effect. It is taxable in the year when it is received, subject to 30% standard deduction. It is taxable even if the SSE is not the owner, and it is taxed separately. Don't add it in the GAV. This is my dialogue. कहीं से copy paste करके नहीं लिया है इसको. arrears or unrealized whenever it is received, don't tax it, add it in the GAV, tax it separately with 30% standard deduction. Okay, right. Some small pointers are there which are beautiful concept. 5 minutes more I'm taking. But before that, shall I conclude कि unrealized rent and arrears of rent is clear to all of you?
Yes,
Dekho, one more treatment you all should remember. Unrealized rent, when you don't realize, deduct. When you receive tax. Arrears of rent, when you don't realize, no effect, no treatment. हाँ, when you receive it, तब आप उसको deduct करो. I mean, say tax it separately. Huh? Don't allow it to merge it anywhere with your GM. Now, some beautiful concept. I'll talk with all of you. Now, what I'm teaching has got very beautiful but small link with other heads, and it's like your common sense se bhi aap kar paoge. Nowadays, if you go to the high-tech city or where modern apartments are built up, in apartments only you are having the clubhouse and swimming pool and children's garden and gym and all the amenities, correct? So with your house rent, suppose I have given my house on rent, I'm getting rent of my house 30,000 and 20,000 I'm collecting rent for all the other. I'm the owner of the house. I'm not staying in that flat, but I've given it out to you. You can also enjoy the swimming pool, the clubhouse, the library, the cycling rack. कितनी सारी amenities होती हैं, right? So many times inside the house also, it's a furnished house I'm giving you. So rent out the house. ऐसा लग रहा है मैं rent का business कर रही हूँ. वो नहीं है, मैं सिर्फ example बता रही हूँ. So 30,000 is my rental income and 20,000 I'm charging you because I'm providing you fully furnished house with AC, with sofa, with microwave, with 4 gas burners. सब कुछ है उसके अंदर. Washing machine, dryer, all amenities. Now, while calculating rental income for Dipti ma'am, if you can bifurcate rent of the house property 30,000 house property, rent of the other amenities, clubs and ACs and microwaves and all 20,000 other source. Ma'am, sometimes it's lump sum, you know, we call it gampa gutta, bas aap na mere ko mila ke, you pay me 60,000 per month. Everything is yours. My parking lot, my gym facility, my this you can enjoy all. Pay me 60,000. Done. Yeah, this is there. If you go to the new Hyderabad, those high-tech city, financial districts, the rentals are in lakhs of rupees because of all the amenities. So if you are able to bifurcate, okay. If you are not able to bifurcate and if it is composite, everything will be taxable either in other source. And there are people who do rental income ka business. They have 7-8 properties in the Twin Cities. Aja, iska rent, uska rent, uska rent. Can they tax it under business head also? Yes. So now read for all of you. This is just a small treatment they can ask you in MCQ. Problem में नहीं आएगा. Problem से related 2 concept है वो कल करेंगे. I hope you are enjoying one thing also कि how categorized way we are studying. One concept yesterday, related problem. Today, partition related problem. Tomorrow, we'll go to US, London, receive rental income and tax that. Aajo. Just above your unrealized rent, this concept is given composite rent. Means the rent of the property along with the services, furniture, AC and all. House ka rent, house property. Others in business income. If composite cannot be split, whole rent will be taxable in other source or business. Okay? Next, income from subletting is taxable in other source. कल आपको एक और भी बताया था, vacant land is taxable in other source. Like that, income from subletting. Mine is a coaching center. I've taken this whole floor on rent for 1 lakh rupees. Now, one portion nearby to balcony, small space, I have given it to a canteen wala. He serves you hot snacks in the break time and he keeps some small stationery also, books and pen. I am tenant. I am paying rent for concept classes. and that stationery and canteen wala is paying rent to me. Is this a rental income for me? Yes. Can I tax it under house property? No ways. I'll not even get entry. Knock, knock. Section 22, chargeability. Am I the owner of the property? No. Is he a tenant? No. I am tenant. He is subtenant. Where it will be taxable? Others. Is my example very clear to all of you? चलो एक बार फिर से तो भी रीड करो और वहां पे टैगलाइन लगाओ, एमसीक्यू के लिए इंपॉर्टेंट है. Okay. Unrealized rent I already explained you. Arrears of rent I already explained you. If the portion of business is let out to employees for residence, yeah, and then we are receiving some nominal rent from employees, it shall not be taxable as house property because occupation of the property by employees not essential to SSC's business. Okay. फॉर एग्जाम्पल क्वार्टर गिवन, ये मैंने पूरा पढ़ लिया बट ऐसे भी समझ में आता है. So many times if the company is located here, next to where company is located, say Infosys office is located here, where 3,000 employees are working. Next to their office, they are having building. This building is owned by Infosys and they are giving this building में flats on rent to their employees at a very nominal rent. Infosys is not having the intention to get the rental income. But okay, if they stay nearby in the staff quarters and all, they can come quickly for the work. So this rental income received by Infosys will be taxable under business head because this building belongs to Infosys and uska depreciation, repairs, insurance, all is business expenditure of Infosys. So business income, business expenditure. ठीक है? Right. Income of letting out of vacant plot, open land is always taxable as other source because there's no building attached to it. Advance rents received is not taxable when received but in year. Yeah, very beautiful. Listen, practically, if you want my property on rent for 10,000 per month, you have to pay me 5 months rent in advance. सबको पता है ना? Deposit. It's called as not rent, it's called as deposit. 10,000 into 5 months rent you have to pay as deposit. This is not my income. This is advance rent, deposit. Whenever you want to vacate, you inform me 3 to 5 months in advance. Whenever I want you to कि अब जाओ भाई मुझे खुद ही use करना है, I have to inform you in advance. That's all written in agreement. But you know, while vacating, what my tenant did, last 5 months के पहले ही inform me, ma'am, another 5 months and I'm going to leave from here. He stopped paying me rent. He said, ma'am, already my deposit is there, no? You can use it. Now is it becoming a rental income or not? It's a very in-depth concept. किसी के सिर के ऊपर से जा रहा है तो सही में बोलो, समझ में आया या नहीं? फिर से एक बार. Whenever I receive advance rent in the form of deposit, it's not taxable on due basis because it's not income, it's a deposit. How many times you have to deposit something to do some business and when you close they give back your deposit? So it's not income for me, it's just a security money or deposit. But while leaving at the end you say, ma'am, I'm going to leave now, better use my deposit. That time I will use it as rental income. That's what is the meaning. Last one point then. These are small points. Annual charge is paid by owner to relative usually out of rental income and all. Annual charge is not deductible. Hence ignore. ये सब मैंने आपको लिखा है. Actually, I can print these points with the problems. But one day before when you revise, no, ये पूरा gist आपको एक साथ मिल जाएगा. First 3 pages of house property, 10 minutes and it is done for you. Okay. So we'll stop the class here because some of you are having doubt in the residential status. Shall we discuss now? पूछो क्या doubt है residential status में? Homework I am not discussing now. I'm really sorry. I'm already late and you have a class next at what time? 2 o'clock?
Yes, ma'am.
ठीक है. Then if I discuss that, it will take time. But residential status, if it is a small doubt, you can ask now. क्या doubt था?
वो तो बात में वो मैम क्वेश्चन नंबर 22 में
Can you come ahead and say, बेटा नहीं आ रही आवाज.
Question number
Yeah, question number
22. Sarthak something is there.
22. Yeah. Yeah. What's the doubt in this?
second part में he is a resident but not ordinary resident.
Okay, he was Indian citizen staying abroad, never came to India, but he's having total income in India
10 lakhs. But इसके अंदर 2 lakhs आएंगे ना.
23 lakhs, and he's not paying any tax, so he's a deemed resident. What would be your answer if income arising in Dubai from a profession set up in India is 2 lakhs? ये doubt है?
हाँ.
What would be your answer if income arising in Dubai from a profession which is set up in India is 2 lakh instead of 10 lakhs?
So this
Okay.
income will be counted, ma'am. Will this income be counted in calculation of income of that person?
Yeah, it will be counted. But then
So,
5 plus 1 minute, beta. 5 plus 8 plus 2. Your doubt, I got it. It will be counted. But this becomes 15 lakhs. I am deemed SSC is above 15 lakhs, not equal to 15 lakhs.
Okay, so in the paper it is written as 13 lakhs only, ma'am.
इसमें
हाँ. 13
income
lakhs
arising from profession set up in India. 1 minute. Profession कहाँ गया वो? या income arising from Dubai from a profession which is set up in India is very well income in India. Since the income arising in Dubai from a profession set up in India rupees 2 lakh instead of 10 lakhs would be only 15 lakhs. ठीक है. Since the same does not exceed 15 lakhs, he would be non-resident. Accordingly, he would be non-resident, and hence, I got your confusion. Okay, now he is not a deemed. See, if a person is deemed resident, it will be resident but not ordinary resident. But now the income is 15 lakhs, so he's a non-resident, and non-resident only 4 cases: received, deemed to receive; accrued, deemed to accrue. For non-resident, business set up in Dubai, controlled from India, 5th case, he is not paying tax. Go and check that table. इसीलिए you will take the income only 8 plus 5, 13 lakhs. Is your doubt clear now?
Yes, ma'am.
And very nice. It's see, I'm telling you, ये level के problem अगर कोई करा रहे हैं ना, मैं challenge दे रही हूँ. Because however you do 20, 30 problems, past exam problems and actual exam problems are the level we need to face every day in class. Tomorrow at the end, house property also we will do that. Still 1 second for anyone else also, if they have missed out that link, no? ये देखो, ये रहा 5th वाला. If you are non-resident and if business is set up outside India, controlled from India, it's no for you. That's why we took that 8 and that only 13 lakh. Clear?
Yes, ma'am.
That's all for today. Sorry, we are late. Then take your lunch break quickly, and bye-bye.